Hey, everybody, look who's back with us here live on the Jim Master Show, live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. A great friend of our show and a great friend of ours. We've known each other for a long time. Interviewed him originally here in America on PBS when he was with the popular group Celtic Thunder. He has his own brilliant solo career. It is one of the finest in Ireland, one of the finest tenors. Crossover tenors you will find. Paul Byrom is back with us here on the show. He's on the heels of a really terrific USA holiday tour. We're excited about that. Paul, my friend, welcome back to the Jim Masters Show.
Delighted to be back. I'm delighted to see you as well. You know, as you said, we go back many years now at this stage, which, you know, sometimes you kind of forget how long ago it was when we started Celtic Thunder. And like, I see they just finished a tour there recently, and I still get messages from people going, "Are you coming back to Celtic Thunder? Are you?
Sure.
You know, we missed you in Celtic Thunder." And you know, like I forget that when I started that show, I mean, I was in the original lineup, and I was 27 years of age, you know, and so I think I left the show in 2010, and so that's not today or yesterday. And so you know, it is amazing how the success and the popularity of Celtic Thunder has continued, but B, that there's still people out there that associate it with me. So it's nice. But certainly at the early stages of the promotional tours, that's when we first came across each other, right?
We sure did. And there we are in the PBS studios here in America. And Paul came in, and I tell you, Paul couldn't have been kinder and more gracious. He had everybody in the studio laughing. He was really very, very warm, friendly. Everybody loved having him in the studio. The phone lines were ringing. People were really supporting. And there we are with, of course, Ryan Kelly. Of course, people know for many years with the team at Celtic Thunder as well. And it was just a really, really fantastic time. So that's when we got together. Everybody who's watching for the first time, I know we mentioned this when he was with us previously. For new viewers, we've known each other that long and have stayed in touch. And Paul has developed.
Well, good God.
We look the same too, which is amazing. I don't know. You know, it's that soap we use or something. It's the Irish spirit. That's what it is. It's the Irish spirit.
I often get people saying to me, "Oh, I preferred how you looked in Celtic Thunder," and I'm like, "So did I. I was 28. You know, I'm 45."
It's like,
you know?
That is
funny. But certainly we've all changed a little bit. But I'm glad to say that neither of those shirts are in my collection anymore either.
I know. It was of the time and of the day, right? That's what it calls for. Yeah. So how have you been, you know, since we chatted last? You know, the world is in interesting times, but you've been still going strong. Great music and a lot of beautiful things that have also, you know, real super fans follow along, and they know some beautiful things that have happened in your life as well since we chatted last, my friend. And congratulations on everything. Did you freeze up, Paul?
Sorry, Jim. I think you're breaking up on me.
You froze up a little bit there. So did you hear the question?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, good.
I know. Go again. Sorry.
Okay, sure. Sorry. Yeah. So I was saying that, you know, since we chatted last, there's been so many things going on, and you have some beautiful things that have happened in your life since we chatted last. And congratulations on everything, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been busy. And look, you know, 1 year rolls into another, and you kind of, we had COVID. The Wi-Fi here is bad because the weather is terrible.
Your weather's a little tough there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horrific moment. So I'm sorry if I'm dipping in and out. If you can all just bear with me, but yeah, no, life is good, thank God. And you know, I've continued to make music. I've continued to, I suppose, aim for high quality music. I released an album during COVID, believe it or not, called What I Did for Love, which was an album with a 60-piece orchestra. And they were songs of, I suppose, songs of the heart, really, you know, which I love. Songs from musicals, songs from crossover, you know, mainstream, with my classical feel and a full orchestra. So that album went great, and then we followed it up a couple of years later, then with a complete opposite end of the scale, where we brought in just 3 or 4 of my favorite musicians here in Ireland, and we did a very intimate album called By Contrast, and we called it that simply because it was complete contrast to a lot of the albums that I've done in recent times. So most of my albums have had orchestras on them, and so this was kind of a nice little acoustic style album, with some of my favorite Irish ballads and songs on it. So I've continued to kind of churn out music. I've continued to kind of push myself with regards to leaving the comfort zone and doing songs that I normally wouldn't do or be known for. And in recent times, we've even released a couple of singles. And look, the field has changed quite a bit with regards to even recording and releasing albums. Years ago, you released an album and it was in the shops and you sold them at the merch stand. Whereas now, lots of people continue to enjoy music and continue to demand music, but they're getting it for free on the likes of Spotify and all these streaming services. It's great in some respects because you're reaching a wider audience. I get orders now for merchandise and stuff on my website from different parts of the world that would never have come across me if it wasn't for the likes of Spotify. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, the music is getting out further afield, but it's you're not generating the funds through it like you would have in the past. So, doing orchestra albums has become extremely difficult. Doing any type of album, because the costs of albums and recording albums hasn't gone down, but yet the profits that are made from it most certainly have. So it's a challenging industry, and you've kind of constantly got to evolve and constantly got to think of new ways of A, getting the music out there, but B, paying the bills, and it's like, call a spade a spade. It's all well and good having a lovely album and lovely music and so forth, but at the end of the day, if you're not shifting units, or if you're not shifting merchandise or selling tickets, it becomes near on impossible. So it is a case of constantly having to think and evolve. And the easy thing would have been just to stay with Celtic Thunder, and for me to just collect a paycheck, go out on the road, do gigs, and go home. That would have been the easy route. And I knew that even leaving. I knew when I left in 2010 that this was going to be a tough challenge, and that I was taking the road that hadn't been trod before by any of the other guys. Now, subsequently, lots of the guys have gone doing solo stuff and solo tours and stuff. But at the time, the schedule was so intense with Celtic Thunder that if I wanted to do any solo tours or any solo gigs, it wouldn't have been possible with the Celtic Thunder schedule. So I had to make a decision if I wanted to kind of pursue my solo career, to jump ship or to stay put. And so I jumped ship. So yeah, it's been an interesting one. It has been an interesting journey for sure. My life, my training was all classical music, musical theatre and opera and so forth. And so, in my head, when I was starting out, that's the road I was going down. I was going down that musical theatre road, and I was auditioning for shows in London. I kind of felt I would inevitably live in London and that would be my career. But then Celtic Thunder rang and offered me a part in the show out of the blue. And I kind of went, oh God, I don't know what to do. So it has been an interesting journey, for sure. And every now and again, I take a time out and I go, what in God's name has happened? Or where am I going? Or what am I doing? And I think in our line of work, that's often the case. I mean, I've just finished a show here in Dublin, Guys and Dolls, the musical, where I played Sky Masters. And I loved it. It was kind of reconnecting with my musical theatre background. I love musical theatre. I always did, always will. I love the routine that goes with being in a show. You get up in the morning and you just have your day to yourself, and then you make your way to the theatre and you get on the slapstick, and then you go out on the stage, and then you just go home and not having to worry about ticket sales and not having to worry about, whatever. There's a loveliness to it, So, now that that's over, I'm now preparing, as you said earlier, for the US tour, and and the head is all of a sudden gone from being a performer to producer to like ticket sales.
Exactly. Tell the audience what it's like, when there's so much that goes on behind the scenes when you're putting a tour together, not only the logistics of the tour, but the song selection, the feel, the vibe, the look that you want to offer when you come to, like in this case, America for the holiday tour.
Yeah.
What is that whole process like? How early do you start putting pen to paper, get the ideas going, and get the team built and everything rolling along, Paul? He's thinking
Yeah,
about
you
that.
can hear me okay? You can hear
Exactly.
me okay? Yeah.
Exactly. Did you get that
Yeah.
question?
You can say that again, sorry.
Sure. I'll say it again. So, and if anybody tuning in, he's in
Can you hear me
Ireland, and
okay?
this, yeah, we hear you. We got it. There's storms where he is in Ireland. They're in Dublin, some bad weather, so his Wi-Fi is a little in and out. But I was talking about, it's a big thing to put a tour together. So when
Yeah.
you're deciding how you want the tour to be, the feel, the
Yeah.
vibe that you want, the song selection, building the team, what is that process like, and how early do you start putting pen to paper and get your ideas going
Yeah.
for a tour?
Well, it's very tricky in that the easy part is actually the singing. Believe it or not, the gigs is the easy part. But I the being the performer is the easy part. It's the producer and the ticket sales and the marketing and the merchandise and booking flights and accommodation and renting cars and all of those things. Are quite challenging. That's the challenging part for me. It's stressful. And then if anybody has a problem with ticket sales, they'll reach out directly to our website, and therefore myself or Katherine or Jenny will get back to them. And so there's all of that. Like today, for example, we had a couple of issues with tickets for people. And so you're dealing with that. You're dealing with promotions. You're dealing with the venues. Actually, you get to sit down and go, well, what am I actually singing here? Now, thankfully, I know my set list pretty well when it comes to Christmas shows in particular. I do a lot of the songs for my Christmas album, and I obviously sprinkle it then with a few Irish songs, and I sprinkle it with a couple of the more recent releases. But it's a light-hearted event, a light-hearted evening, and very interactive, and I encourage people to come and sing along and get in the festive spirit. So the gigging, the performing is the easy part. That's really the easy part. It's the stress that leads up to the selling of tickets. You're like,
Yes.
am I
Yeah.
coming?
Do you have a big team, or
I
you're
wonder if
doing a
I
lot
go
of the work
to
yourself?
my Wi-Fi. If I changed my Wi-Fi, would it help for you?
Oh, yeah, you could. Yeah. Do you want to? Sure. Yeah. You could switch it. We've had guests do that. If you think changing the Wi-Fi, switching the Wi-Fi. Yeah, definitely. While you do that, I'm going to show people the tour information. We've got some information here for the tour. Take a look at this, folks. Christmas from Ireland with Irish tenor Paul Byrom. And look at the places he's coming to in America. He's going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. Again, at the time of this show, of course. If you're watching this 6 months from now, this will have happened. And Nashville, Tennessee, Portland, Maine, Stamford, Connecticut, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's also going to Berkeley Springs. Looks like West Virginia there. Ellicott City, Maryland. He's also going to Pennsylvania and to Massachusetts as well. He's going to switch his Wi-Fi and then be back with us. There is, again, some more detail about Christmas from Ireland with Irish tenor Paul Byrom. There you can go to paulbyrom.ie. Of course, that's Ireland. See all the dates. He's going to be coming over to America to get ready on the 30th. I asked him, when are you heading over here? Our show originates from the United States. We're here in the greater New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area. And so that's where the Jim Masters show live comes from. And so, yeah, he's going to be coming over on the 30th and then getting things going. And there he is.
I'm so sorry.
No, welcome back. Would you kick the machine or?
Well, I'm hoping you didn't hear any of the words that I was using whilst kicking the machine.
Well, I just talked loudly over them. That's all. I showed them the tour information and all, and
Oh,
so
sorry about that. You're no better
no.
when it comes to filling. You're a good man on that front. So
I
well
was
done.
going to say, have you ever met an Irishman that can't fill?
Yeah,
Not at all.
exactly. Yeah.
Two kinds
So
of
no, like
fill.
to answer
This
your
fill, yeah. There's
yeah,
this
yeah,
fill
yeah,
and
yeah.
this fill. So we were
So
saying,
we
how do
do both
you,
very
you know,
well.
when you put the tour together, like you're talking about the logistics, which is it's a big part of it. Do you have a big
Yeah,
team, or are you doing a lot of the work yourself, hands-on, Paul?
yeah. No, it's pretty much myself. Catherine, my fiance, helps an awful lot with regards to emails and inquiries and the technical end of things often. And then I have another friend of mine, Jenny, who deals sometimes with just inquiries from fans and so forth. But like with regards to booking venues, with regards to I have a friend who travel. He has a company called Travel Concepts in Massachusetts, and he organizes a lot of my flights for me and routing. So it's a small team, but um, it's effective. I was with the big agencies in the past, and they've been great. But at the moment, this is the way I've gone for the last couple of years, and it's been grand. You're doing a lot of Irish centres and churches and small little theatres and so forth, which is lovely. But it is stressful. There's no question about it. I'd love to flower it up and say it's not, but you do. You'd be looking at ticket sales in different cities, and you're going, "Oh God, that's a little bit more thought," or that's a bit. Oh, you might get a surprise, but like that city's selling well. Wow, I didn't expect that. And I always throw in one or two kind of new places where I try to find new places to just see, because that's the only way of finding out. It's be all too obvious if I was an Irish guy going to Boston and New York every time. So you have to try and find the cities that are that you still have a following in, and that you might be surprised by. So, for example, on this tour, I've never been to Maine as a soloist, so I'm hoping that sells well. And Stamford, Connecticut, and we're going to haven't been there in a long, long time. Nashville, haven't been there in a long time. And then there's the others that have that are regular visits of mine. So you're kind of taking a gamble on yourself each and every time, and then the hope is that people will help spread the word. People that have seen you in the past will pass on the word, and that's really kind of the extent of it, because you don't have the budgets really for marketing. You don't have the budgets for a PR company in the US. I mean, they're astronomical. So you really are, reaching out to people like yourself, people that and hoping that it all works out, and word of mouth and social media and all of that kind of stuff. So it is full on. It's pretty full on. And there are times where I wish that I had just taken up the musical theatre route, got
Yeah.
for auditions, and
I mean, is that
not worried
something
about
you
it.
could
But
still pursue?
possibly, like, as I said, I'm 45 now. So, when you go to see shows on the West End or Broadway or whatever else, you'll notice that the cast is, they're young now. They are very young, the casts in these musicals and the shows. So I don't know, maybe I've missed the boat, but we'll
No, you
see. You
still
never
see,
say.
still see Patti LuPone and Bernadette Peters and some of the others. They're still
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So I haven't given up the idea of it for sure, but that being said, like it's not an easy job. It's not like whether you're touring as a soloist or whether you're in musical theatre, going from one audition to the next. It's not an easy route. I knew that starting out. I
Yeah.
suppose I didn't know it would be this tough, but I love it, and I thoroughly enjoy singing, and I thoroughly enjoy being in front of an audience and meeting people and talking to them after the shows. And I love singing, and I love performing, and so you have to kind of just take the good with the bad, and I think that's the same in any job, whether you're a dentist or whether you're a dustbin man or whether you're a milkman, a farmer. There's good and bad with every profession, and so this is an evolving profession. This is an evolving world we're living in, and you have to either keep up or step off.
And the way the music is heard and distributed and promoted is completely changed. And we've had so many guests come through here who've talked about that. People who've been in the industry for a long time, or some that are just starting out. And it's a different, even with all the streaming and everything, you've got to really keep sort of pounding it to get out there and stay connected, right? There's a lot of extra work.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like you do have to stay connected, and it's funny because people will often say, "God, Byrom, you spend a lot of time on social media, on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, or whatever." And like I try to explain to them, there's no point in me just jumping on when I have something to promote. You know, you have to kind of keep people engaged. You know, you've got to keep people interested. You have to keep people interested in who you are as a person. And I suppose nowadays you're also, which I kind of am only aware of really now, like that you have to try, and you're not just selling music anymore. You're selling your personality as well, and your person. And people can either buy your music or turn up at concerts because they like you or your banter or your persona or your look. Whereas before, people would just turn up because they liked your voice or your music. So you have to kind of really you have to work on it from all angles, really, you know. And so it's a full-time job all the time, and you've got to be consciously aware, constantly aware of what you're putting out there, and the repercussions of it, because as I said, it's a very different medium. You know, years ago, artists would just release albums and they didn't do interviews, and they didn't have to do much. Whereas now it's all or nothing, and you've got to keep people interested. It's a very odd, unusual thing, you know.
It really is. What do you do to balance it all out? What do you do like on the downtime, the things that keep you grounded so you can unplug and then plug back into the musical world?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. I would, you know, I would do an awful lot of CrossFit training. I like working out and keeping healthy and keeping fit. I have found that's been a great source of release for me, relief as well when it's stressful. You know, you just go up to the gym, you could take a class, and nobody knows you. Well, not nobody knows you, but nobody cares what you're up to 9 to 5. They're just happy to see you, and you have a bit of crack with them. You work out. Fitness has been a huge thing for me. I love saunas and sea swims and stuff like that. And so I very much try and cater and look after my mental health and my physical health as best I can. So often I will make sure that I spend time doing that when I'm not performing or working. I also, even when I'm on the road, I will always try and find gyms that I can go to and you know, drop in and be anonymous and kind of just do a class or two and then go about my way. I spend a lot of time with family and friends. And most of my friends, I mean, I have a handful of very good friends in the music business, but most of my friends are not in the business at all and not in that world at all. And so I think that has been something that has worked greatly in my favor, because no matter how successful I am or not, my friends don't care. They just like me for me. And so I could come back from a great tour and they'd be like, yeah, great, get the pints in, Byrom, so you're around. You know, they don't care. And so I think that's kind of important. And family is important. And my fiance isn't in the music business and not in this world at all. She's completely different. And I think that helps a lot, you know, because she's a voice of reason for me. She's very supportive. And doesn't
Here we
always
go. Look at that.
necessarily.
Oh, everybody say, ah, look at that
Yeah,
shot.
yeah. So like that's our local park. There is a park called Marley Park, which
Yeah.
we walk regularly, myself and Katherine, and we find out when we go. And I suggest this to any couple, going for walks together. You know, it's such a great way to reconnect. Your phone is in your pocket. You know, you just spend time talking, catching up, and sharing whatever funny stories you have from both workplaces. And
How did you guys meet?
uh, interestingly enough, through CrossFit. So Katherine is from Belfast, which, for those that don't know, Belfast is about a 2-hour drive up the road from Dublin. And Katherine moved down to Dublin. Belfast is a small city in comparison to Dublin. And so she moved down for her job and for the opportunities about 6 years ago. And she didn't know anybody. And so she joined CrossFit because she was told, look, that's a great way of meeting new people. You know, everybody talks and everybody's everybody's good fun or whatever. And so she joined that, and then I had noticed her join the gym, and a nice girl from Belfast. The accent always gets me, you know. And so we ended up. Then there was a competition, a large competition that was happening. So our gym sent in a team, and me and Katherine teamed up together with another friend, and we hit it off. And so that was kind of it. And initially started off as friendship, and I wasn't really looking for a relationship at the time. I had come out of a long-term relationship, so I was really looking for one. And neither was she, you know. And I suppose this is the way love and life works, you know. Sometimes when you're not planning something, it just comes along and nips you in the bud. So yeah, and then COVID happened, and the world went into lockdown, and of course we were very much in a bubble together for like almost 2 years, where we didn't see many people, or, you know, didn't talk to many people. It was just ourselves and our families and stuff. And so therefore it was at that point we really realized that we were a good fit, you know. And as I said, very different to me. She's very quiet and reserved, and she's polite and lovely. and,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I'm loud and in your face. And so she's great. See, she balances me out. And then, as you can see, the main man in the middle is Bradley.
You've got a special friend there making you visit.
He is always with me. And so when Katherine and he got on great, I knew this is good. So Catherine's abbreviated name is Cat. So I now have a cat and a dog, and they both seem to get on. So life was good. And as I said, COVID, you know, all joking aside, COVID, I think, was a challenging time for a lot of people in relationships, you know, either in marriages or long-term relationships or getting together. And I think it was a great test for a lot of people, you know, and some sadly didn't come through that. You know, you hear stories all the time that COVID was the straw that broke the camel's back. Whereas for me and Katherine, it brought us together, and we have just gone from strength to strength, really. And I think a lot happened in that time. You know, in particular, you know, a friend of mine passed away. He was in his 40s, early 40s. He lost his fight to cancer, and I think when that happened, he was only 40, and I was the same, in or around that. And he had 2 children and a beautiful wife, and you take time out, and at that point you kind of go to yourself, dear God, like, what is life all about? You know, what really is it all about? Is it about owning a big house? Is it about having a lovely car, a beautiful wife? Well, what is it, like, you know? And I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on all of these things, and you know, so although COVID was a terrible, challenging time for a lot of people, in many respects it was a reset button for me. And
it sounds like you've gone through a lot of self-exploration in the last few years, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, you do. And I think maybe it's turning 40. I don't know whether it was that. I don't know whether it was like life in general just kind of tends to kind of stop you in your tracks sometimes and makes you think. And I think you can either look at that as a positive or a negative. And I looked at it as a positive, and I thought, right, let's take time out here and see what are my priorities in life. And my priorities are still to sing and to tour and to perform. I love doing that. That's what pays my bills. But, you know, it's not the be all and end all. And my priority is being happy and healthy, and you know, spending time with loved ones. And so Katherine and I, we travel quite a bit together. You know, we enjoy travel. So when I'm not touring, we always look at what's our next trip, you know. And the glory of living in one of the glories of living in Europe is that it's cheap enough to get around Europe. You know, you can go from Dublin to Italy for €100, you know what I mean, and stay in a cheap Airbnb or a booking.com and have a lovely weekend away. And so we do that. We love kind of just exploring different cultures and traveling and spending time together, and that's our priority, and that is my priority moving forward, is just to be happy, because all the rest, working towards whatever goals I had as a young lad, you know, as you get older, you kind of just go, cop yourself on, Byrom.
Sort of get out of your own way, right? And just let it happen. Let it happen. Right.
Yeah, I do. I see some people, you know, maybe they're in jobs they don't particularly enjoy. They're maybe not altogether happy, and they're just plodding along because they have a mortgage and they've got kids and they've got this, that, the other, and that's all understandable, very understandable. But you know, the one thing for sure is that life is short, and I think if we waste time being miserable and unhappy or just plodding along, you have to question, like, what is it about? Like, what are we doing here? You know. So, a friend of mine recently said to me, if your life was a book, would you read it? You know, and I think it's a great
That's a
question.
great way to look at it.
Yeah. So, I think I have a decent book in me. I think I have a decent book. One of these days, Jim, I'm going to sit down and do a
He's gonna
tell
write
all.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
tell
Those
all.
stories.
I'm
And
seeing
we
lots
will
of comments coming in on the side. You've got lots of viewers here, people talking.
oh,
Uh,
sure.
Kathleen Walker is coming.
Kathleen in New York City.
Lovely.
Well,
Kathleen Walker,
Pepper
you're
says,
lovely.
"Wait till you turn 75. Please let me know what you think when you turn 75."
Yeah, well, if I'm still doing YouTube chats at 75, I'm doing well. You know, I noticed it even with my mother. You know that she's. I think a lot of people. I don't know, Jim, what your position is, but with your parents, but like you
Yeah.
forget that as you get older, so are your parents. Like I still think of my mom as
Everybody's
like,
aging with
oh,
us, right?
yeah. So yeah, you do have to appreciate those that are around you, and I'm very lucky. Like you, I've loads of people dropping messages here, lots of support around
Everybody's saying
for me.
hello. Yeah, all of our viewers are Lovities, Jim Master Show Lovities, and your fans as well. And Anne's been with us a long time as well. She's going to see you in Jacksonville. She's been with us
Great.
for, I think, ever since we started our series. Kathleen's in New York City. Yeah, everybody watching. Sherry's in Kansas, and Merlin's in Canada, and yeah, everybody's saying hello, and they love when they're all excited. They will love when we're together and chatting and catching up on everything. And
Yeah.
you know, when you put the tour together, how do you know what songs to pick? How do you know? You know, there's so many songs, but you can only have a certain amount in the set. And what will
Yeah.
people expect when they go to the Paul Byrom Christmas tour concerts coming up?
Well, so the Christmas show, like I love Christmas music. I always did. Growing up as a child, I always loved Christmas, and we had wonderful Christmases. And my mom always went above and beyond to create a wonderful Christmas for us. So you know, my Christmas songs will be the songs that I have, you know, recorded, for example, on my album "I'll Be Home for Christmas," and there's loads of the old crooner numbers in there. Of course, the likes of "A Holy Night" and "Silent Night," and all of those kind of Christmas classics are involved in the show. But I always sprinkle it then with a couple of other songs that are maybe poignant songs that are technically they're not Christmassy, but like, for example, I recorded a song called "Jealous of the Angels." So I love doing that for people. I think they tend to enjoy it. And so I sprinkle it with a bit of everything. And then often you'll find there'll be one or two songs in the set list, and you might be one or two shows in, you go, that's not really landing, you know, and so you might just swap it out for one or two others, you know. But I always have kind of a large array of songs, and I often mix it up for myself, even just to keep it interesting for myself. But the core of the show is Christmas and having the crack and being, I suppose, open and honest, like I suppose I like to think I am. So the chats and the stories are all real, and I like talking about my, you know, upbringing and my life and why I sing songs. I explain them all in between the songs. I mean, I very rarely just randomly record a song because I like the song. There's often a connection to it and a reason for it, and so I try and kind of keep that somewhat in the set list. You know, the stories are, I think, important.
Do you like writing material as well? Do you like songwriting, Paul?
Yeah, I do. I do like songwriting. I just don't know if I'm any good at it, to be perfectly honest. You know, I think I have potential. I think, you know, to improve and to be a better songwriter. I've released a couple of songs in the past, like "Sunny Morning September" was one of mine that I recorded, and "Lady Liberty" was another song I wrote. So I think, yes, if I put more my mind to it, I think I would be capable of doing more songwriting. But I think with my style of singing and music, a lot of people want to hear the songs they know. Do you know what I mean? And they want to hear "You Raise Me Up." They want to hear "Danny Boy." they don't want to hear "Oh My Lovely Horse" by Paul Byrom, like So it's kind of it's finding that mixed bag. Now I've released a couple of original songs in the last few years, and there was one recently that I released called "How Will You Remember Me," which was received very well. And
That's
we'll be doing
actually a
that on tour.
great song. I was hearing it the other day when we were putting the show together. That's a really beautiful song, Paul. Tell us a little
Thank
bit
you.
about that song, what inspired that for people that have not heard it yet.
Yeah, so I had a friend of mine, a guy called Chris Cole, who I had worked with on a recording of Linger. He had come to me and said, "Look, a friend of his, Barry, and himself had been working on this song. Would I be prepared to come on and look at it and work on it with them?" So we did. The three of us put our heads together, um, and I suppose it's one of those songs like that we touched on already. Sentiment we've touched on already, which is, how will we be remembered when all of this is gone? Like, how will we be remembered by our loved ones, by our people? Just put down the phone for a moment and, share a moment with your loved ones. And I think that's primarily the core of it, just asking yourself, what is your legacy? What is your legacy going to be?
Yeah.
I think it's a good question. I really do. I think every now and again, somebody, not to ever get bogged down by it. I'm not, I think that's important as well. It's nice to kind of ask these questions, but not to get bogged down, because you can end up getting very depressed with yourself.
Right.
But it's finding that middle ground and just going, what am I actually at here? What's my legacy? What am I going to be remembered by? And so that's the sentiment of the song. And I think a lot of people, it's connected with a lot of people. Like, we've got a lot of positive feedback from it as soon as it was released.
Well, music is very therapeutic. It's very healing as well. I say the two things we need in our lives is music and laughter. And when you have both, and when you go to a Paul Byrom concert, you're going to get both, because you do like to play with the audience. You like to have a good time with the audience. You appreciate them
Yeah.
coming out and supporting your music, so that you get a little of each. You get the Irish crack, which we love, and you get
For
the
sure.
good music, right?
Yeah.
And that's the best. I mean, you can't top that. I want to show people again the graphic that we have for the tour, and you can go to
Yeah, we
paulbyrom.ie.
definitely. I'm a firm believer in keeping it lighthearted, keeping it fun. I don't take
Exactly.
myself too seriously. I always say to people when they're coming to the shows, not to, if you're sensitive, leave it at the door, because come in and have the crack, and we're just gonna tell a few stories, and no harm, no foul. It's all good humor. The Irish
Exactly.
are pretty good with humor, and we like making fun of ourselves first, and then everybody else afterwards. We're pretty good at that. But the shows are lighthearted. It's a family show. I always say it's a family show. You could bring your granny of 98 years of age, and you could bring your daughter or child of 8 years of age, your niece or nephew. It really is. It's a family show. That's what we aim for. And by and large, it's received quite well. I don't know of anybody who's ever been offended or upset.
Merlin in Canada was asking, do you have a favorite Christmas song yourself, Paul?
Well, I mean, I think "A Holy Night" is without question, one of the most beautiful songs. But it's like some of the simpler ones, like "Silent Night" is a beautiful old song,
Mm,
and I suppose the origin of the song and the history behind the song as well is quite poignant. How you think of, the Germans and the English singing it in the trenches in World War One, like that's quite remarkable. So it's a beautiful song that goes back a long way. Um, some of the more modern pieces, of course, I love "The River" by Joni Mitchell, and "Fairy Tale in New York" I love as well by the Pogues. So like, there's a lot. There's a large. I'm a huge Christmas music fan. I'm a huge fan of
me
anything that's
too.
cheesy. Yeah, anything cheesy, I'm all over it. So Christmas kind of dishes up the cheese big time. But like, as I said, I kind of try. I'm always looking out for new songs, and working on new songs, and that's kind of, you always come across new Christmas songs that you may have not heard before, and I
Right.
get out of that.
It's a beautiful time of the year, and it's a really important time of the year too. And it seems like, Paul, that you're in a sweet spot. You're content. Your cup is full and getting fuller. You're really grounded. You're really soaking it all up, and your music, your art, your performance, your connection with people is reflecting this transformation that you've gone through, expanding your horizons as a person and as a brilliantly trained artist, right?
Yeah, well, thank you. I'd like to think I am. I think I am certainly in a happy place in my life, which is always, I suppose, then reflected, in music and then in the performances. I think if you're in a good spot, I think that transcends it. Um, and and I think people often come to my shows or they listen to my music that are going through difficult times. Again, it's the style of music I do. And I get great joy out of the fact that people get comfort from my songs, and I think that's very important for me. I got a message today from a lovely lady called Barbara who had just finished up her treatment for chemotherapy, and all the way through her treatments, she used to listen to my music while she was getting it done, and so that's hugely encouraging to think that that's connecting with somebody, that's touching somebody. And so the concerts then, I think a lot of people will come to the concerts. Sometimes people get emotional at the concerts because of a certain song. But it's also, as I said, it's lighthearted, and that's what I try to kind of just project where I'm at in my life. I think kind of will set the tone really, because like everybody else, I've had my ups and downs, and certainly when I had to work during my down period, it was challenging. It was challenging going out on the road and putting on a happy face and pretending that everything was great. It can be difficult, and I think lots of people go through that every day, getting up and having to put on energy, and like TV presenters in particular. Lots of people don't realize what's going on in these people's lives, and they turn on the television and they see a happy face and they go, God, he's got it great, doesn't he? Or she's got it all. And so lots of people have to put on that happy face and do the dance, so to speak. So I'm very fortunate and lucky to be in a position in my life now where I'm very happy. I'm very lucky to be who I'm with. I'm getting married next May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and so I'm healthy. I've got my health. I've got my family around me, and so like all the rest is irrelevant. Really it is. Not utterly irrelevant, but it's less relevant than it used to be. Once I can pay my bills, keep the wolf from the door, I'm
right.
a happy man. So yeah. So speaking of paying the bills, please buy tickets for the concerts.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's show them again, folks. You can go to paulbyrom.ie. And yeah, he's coming over. He's going to be heading over around the 30th of November. So before you know it, and then getting ready to go. And you got all those cities there. He's going to Florida, Tennessee, like Maine, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, another part of Pennsylvania, and Canton, Massachusetts as well. So get your holiday on. He's going to get you in the holiday spirit. It's going to be, you don't have to go to Ireland. He's bringing Christmas from Ireland to you, and you're going to have an amazing time. And if you've ever been to one of his concerts, you know what I'm talking about. If you've listened to his music, you're a big supporter, or you're just learning about him for the first time through the Jim Master Show, or maybe remember him from the years with Celtic Thunder, whatever it is. He's a spot on entertainer, and he's going to really take good care of you during that performance and that tour. You'll be in a holiday spirit. He's going to have a good time. You can see he's very excited about it, and putting in all those finishing touches on it right now before he comes across the big pond to entertain all of us. Paul, I know your time is limited. You got some things going on. Of course, you're 5 hours ahead of us in Ireland there. So it's always really, and we were talking about it before live on the air. Again, we've known each other many years now, and it was ever since I had the pleasure of interviewing you on PBS when you were with Celtic Thunder. And I'm so glad that we stayed in touch and that you come by to say hi. And
well, you've always been a great supporter, in fairness to you. And, there's lots of people that have come across over the years that, you don't really hear from again. And, perhaps I'm not the flavor of the month anymore, whereas you've always been very supportive, and that is hugely appreciated. It's funny, as we talked about at the top of the show, Celtic Thunder, it seems like a million years ago now. and even the guys in the show, they're all like young, fresh, and kind of handsome young lads, you know. And then I go, dear God, is that the same show I was in, you know? And so like time passes by, and of course we all evolve. But it's nice to kind of keep those connections, you know, with people that you made along the way. And for sure, Jim, you're one of them.
Right back at you, my friend. Congratulations again on all the beautiful things happening in your life. I'm so happy for you. And as I mentioned last time, we keep the porch light on for you. You are welcome back anytime. Keep us abreast of all that's going on. Safe travels as you head over here. And I will,
Yes.
when we wrap, I'll make sure I get the information out to everybody again as well.
Do appreciate it. And thank you to all that tuned in and were leaving comments. Sorry, I didn't see, I didn't get to read them all. I see Kathleen Walker. Thanks for being here, Paul. That's so very kind. Anne Wozniak and Alexandra Riley, of course. Alexandra rings a bell. Pepper Matt. Lots of people I don't know. I'm
Yeah, a lot of the regular viewers to our show, and they're all excited to have you here, and we are as well. And really cool stuff, my friend.
Sorry about the internet. Sorry about the internet.
It's just, well, you got storms going on there in Ireland, right? It's like, yeah, it's like winter there already.
Right, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you be well.
Yeah, we're in the throes of it now for sure.
You're in the throes of it. Well, you come over from Ireland, but keep the weather over there.
Don't worry. Listen, great to see you. Keep well, and thanks again.
You as well, Paul. Paul, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for the generosity of time. We really love it, and appreciate all that you do. And come see us again. Spread the word about our show. That helps. Takes a village. And I hope you enjoy the time with me again as much as I have with you, my friend.
Always, always. Listen, take care of yourself. Bye for now.
You be well. Safe travels. Okay. Paul Byrom and company on the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. What a great conversation we had. And he's getting prepared for his concerts coming up. Yeah, we met a couple of years back when he came to America, and I interviewed him on public television on PBS. Paul and all of the gang originally from Celtic Thunder. There's Ryan Kelly, of course, as well. And many of us have stayed in touch over the years. You've seen some of the others on our show as well from that gang. But of course, Paul has his own brilliant solo career. He's a great performer, and we were very excited to welcome him back to the show as, of course, a friend of our show. He loves being here. We love having him. And look who joined as well. Look at that shot, huh? Here's again some information for those that are watching right now. Of course, during this period, if it is you're watching this 6 months from now, then this is past news. But he is coming to America for his Christmas in Ireland tour. And these are the cities. There's where you can get the tickets. His name and then .ie for Ireland, Paul Byrom. .ie. He's coming to Florida, Tennessee, and Maine, and Connecticut, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania again, and Massachusetts. He wanted to go to some places that he hadn't necessarily been to as often as the usual places. So I think that's great because he's going to get connected with some other people in other parts of the United States that maybe don't get a chance to really see him if they're in some of the even larger cities where typically you would expect him to be. So I think that's a great idea that he's doing that to connect with everybody. Always a pleasure to see all of our friends. I want to let you know that coming up tonight, for those of you who remember the kids series News Zoo Review, we're going to be back at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. That's a busy day. I'm on the radio all day today too. And then this is cool. I'm loving this. It's 8 Pacific, 8 Eastern. We're Eastern. 8 Eastern. I'm still Jim Masters. This is the Jim Masters Show. 8 Eastern tonight. 7 Central. There's so many time zones, right? 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The gang from the original classic children's television series News Zoo Review. This is an exclusive. Going to be here, Doug and Emmy Joe. Tomorrow, Lisa Lamb from Celtic Woman is going to be here. That's right, tomorrow. And that's going to be fantastic as well. That's early in the afternoon. I believe that's around 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in Ireland. Lisa Lamb from Celtic Woman. She has her own solo career, but she's part of the Celtic Woman. She's back with Celtic Woman to go on their Christmas tour, and she's going to be here exclusively. Again, we have great relationships with so many of our friends, celebrity friends and guests, and of course with the gang, with Celtic Thunder, with Celtic Woman. And then when they became solo independent artists, we've stayed in touch, like Paul Byrom as well, joining us here. Let's take a look at some of our comments while we're here. Quick little chat with our viewers, which we like to do since we are coming to you live right now. Thank you very much, Charlotte. We appreciate you being here as well. And it's always a pleasure to see so many smiley faces. Kathleen in New York as well. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like on our thumbs up icon on our YouTube channel. Make sure you give it a like. Leave a comment in the comments section underneath this episode. If you're watching this live or you're watching this later, because we know we all lead busy lives. So sometimes, you may watch this in the archives. We do most of these live, if not all, but sometimes if you miss something or life gets in the way, all the shows are archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would love that. Thanks to all the subscribers and supporters that help us continue to grow with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. I mean, at the time of the show right now, over 1,200 episodes we've done in 4.5 years. That's unbelievable. That's a lot of shows. Anne is here. Good to see you as always, Anne. Anne has been with us for a long time, and Sherry's watching here as well. And Alessandra, we love having Alessandra. We love having Sherry Larson. You are very welcome. And of course, some of our regulars and a lot of new faces joining us as well. Merlin is here. Good to see you, Merlin, in Canada. And anybody, if you don't get a chance to comment in the chat section, feel free to comment right there below, because that really helps us grow. If you enjoyed this episode, again, we thank you for being here, and we would love for you again to do something very special, and that is this. Give this episode a like. There's a like icon. Just click like. Share this episode on your social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, to binge watch all the other past episodes at Jim Masters TV. And again, do leave a comment for us. We would love that. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. It's nice to see everybody. All the smiley faces are regulars, lots of new faces. We love having you here. We love putting these shows together for you, and it continues to be a blessing. Now I'm going to take this hat off, and I have to go on the radio. I've got 4 radio shows to do. I had 3 today earlier, and now we have this. And then tonight we have the 8 o'clock show with New Zoo Review. A lot of talking today. So put the coffee on. We love having you here. It's always a blast. And Pierre Kelly says, what a fantastic program. Round 2 going off tonight. Absolutely. Come see us again, everybody. We love having you here, and we love seeing all of you. And we love your spunk, your vim and vigor, and your passion for what we're doing here. Thanks again to our buddy Paul Byrom for stopping by the Jim Masters Show live series. And get your tickets for his concert. You're going to love it. And again, come see us again. We'll be here for the next Double Lovity Day. That is 8 p.m. tonight, Eastern. And then Lisa Lamb from Celtic Woman tomorrow. And you can see past episodes with all of our guests again on our YouTube channel. All right, we're going to have a quick snack, and then we've got another busy day continuing. Be well, everybody. Come see us again. The porch light is always on. I always say it's on for the guests, right? But it's also on for our faithful, loyal viewers watching from all around the world. Here in America, next door in Canada, throughout South America. We have lots of viewers in Europe and Asia, Australia. We love having you here, Africa. We love having you here from wherever you're watching, whether you're down the road, across the ocean, wherever it may be. The fact that you're here means the world to all of us, and to me, your host and producer, Jim Masters. So love it, love it, love it. And this is, I love this. I was a viewer, but since I got my keyboard, this is your first reply. Well, we are glad you got that keyboard. That makes a world of difference. I'm glad. Thank you for joining us, Pepper, and everybody watching. We always have a good time with you. So with that said, thanks for being with us, Paul Byrom. Good to see him again. Glad he's doing well. Glad you're doing well. And we'll be back with another episode coming up on the Jim Masters Show live. We love you all. Take care and be well. And cheers.